All right, we're live. Hey friends, how are you guys doing? Happy Monday. This coffee chat is a little later than normal, so thank you guys for hopping on and bearing with me. I want to make sure I can see the comments if they come up here. I like that view much better. All right. Thank you guys for hopping on with me today. It's maybe a triggering coffee chat, so I want to give a trigger warning to any of you guys who are really sensitive about discussion of particular calorie levels. We are going to mention calories in this chat today, but hang in there, it's for a reason. If you do find this triggering and you're working at that on a certain point in your journey and you don't care to listen to particular numbers or talk about numbers, then maybe this coffee chat isn't for you. Just opt out of that and go with your gut. So it's Monday. We're here. It's 3 p.m. and this coffee chat was inspired by comments that I hear from you guys a lot. Comments that I get whenever you fill out forms to work with me, to coach with me. I'll fill out a questionnaire and you guys will send me messages when you're wanting nutrition coaching, when you're reaching out to me and things like that. So on your initial forms, and even on Instagram recently, I've started seeing a lot of posts that are, they're pretty good. They're actually talking about how like a 2-year-old child requires 1,200 calories. Why does a grown woman need to keep her calorie levels at 1,200 calories? So let's chat about that today. If you're hopping on and you're catching this live, say hey, let me know where you're from, grab a cup of tea. Let's talk about why we think we need this crazy, restrictive amount of calories, or why do we need to restrict ourselves to that amount. If you're catching the replay, #replay, so that I can come back and I can chat with you and answer any questions that you might have. I do want to mention Jillian Michael, because she has a couple of videos that have come out now. One in particular where she was talking about intuitive eating, and I thought that was pretty problematic and extremely triggering and extremely wrong when she said that women should be able to keep their calories at like 600 calories a day, and that was sufficient intake. So, okay, we're going to chat about that. She also put another video out recently that talked about what she ate in a day. Both of them were extremely triggering and problematic if you've seen them. So if you have seen them, comment, let me know. If you haven't seen them, I'm not going to give you a link to them. Just take my word for that. It enrages me when I see people like her, Jillian Michaels, we're talking about, getting on and talking about this. So we're into the holidays. We're in Christmas now, and you might be thinking today, well, I've fallen off the wagon again. Or maybe you're researching diets for the new year. Maybe you're thinking you need to get back on the wagon or do a challenge. I'm seeing a lot of these fitness challenges now start to come up in my feed all the time. Let's talk about calories. We'll end this talking about challenges. But you guys, I'm so tired of the calorie game, really. It all boils down to, any diet boils down to ways to control your calorie intake, right? So if you look at any diet out there, whether it's eliminating carbs, whether it's Noom, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting, MyFitnessPal, tracking your macros, whatever it is, it all boils down to calories in versus calories out, and keeping your calories at an extremely low, kind of restricted level. And back to kind of what I said in the beginning, I think it's really interesting that a 2-year-old needs 1,200 calories to sustain them, but yet MyFitnessPal is telling us grown women that we need 1,200 calories, and that's enough to sustain us, or that Jillian Michaels is saying that 1,600 calories is enough to sustain us, grown women. So a lot of times when I start talking about this with clients or with members, I'll get objections at first, because when we work together, we go through a process to identify diet brain and diet mentality. So if you're not there yet, you might have objections. You might be sitting there today saying, look, Wendy, I'm not growing anymore, or I'm sedentary. I don't have a really super active lifestyle. Or maybe you're just sitting there thinking like, well, I just don't want to gain weight. So whatever it is, just hear me out today in this coffee chat. And I'd love to answer any questions that you might have along the way, but let's just talk about calories and what we really need. 1,200 calories is truly, it's the level that I used to feel like I had to maintain. It's the level that I used to try to tell clients to maintain. So I've been there. I can truly say, like, that's what we needed when I was working with clients to do a really strict weight loss plan that we were striving for. And I have a lot of compassion now looking back at myself from a few years back. And you're right. You actually might gain weight if you're coming from a place of that severe restriction, because you need more than that to survive, really. And that's why you gain weight if you eat more. So because what's happened is, with restriction and dieting through the years, we've trained our body to live off of less. And it's really simple. It slows down the processes so that it can survive. So when you hear people talking about survival mode, this is what's happening in your body, and we were made to, food is energy. And so if you're not giving it enough, it will slow down its processes to stay alive. And so literally, it's semi-starvation state. And I think, anyone that pursues 1,200 or 1,600 calories a day, or if you're on a clean eating, like, diet type plan, or let's just say it, lifestyle. I see that word a lot, and it kind of, it's diet culture in different language. Whatever it is you're telling yourselves, like, it's going to be this simple, it'll just be a 3-month process. I'm going to cut out this, or I'm going to cut out these calories, this amount, lose this much weight, and then go into maintenance mode. How many of you guys have ever told yourself this? If you're catching the replay later, let me know. If you're watching this and you're like, oh, I can totally relate to what you're saying, let me know. Just throw up an emoji or say me in the comments. Because I know what it's like to follow these plans, and literally, guys, our body, we aren't robots. Essentially, that's what we're doing when we're on a diet, is we're thinking that, like, we can just follow this cookie cutter plan and everything is going to work out that way. But it's not just calories in versus calories out. Rarely do we ever meet our goals by simply cutting calories. We end up, you don't end up with the life of your dreams. I mean, but that's kind of what diets are selling, if you think about it. Like, if you just cut calories, you'll end up with the body of your dreams, you'll lose weight, your life will look like this, you'll be happier, you'll be more successful, you'll find love. I mean, all the advertisements, right? You can just see all of that in them if you watch weight loss advertisements and things like that. And what's happened is we end up staying on this low-calorie diet plan for longer and longer and longer, and then wondering, why isn't it working? If you guys ever felt like why? Why isn't this working for me? Because I hear hundreds of women ask me this, when they come to work with me. It's like, if this is you, just raise your hand, say emoji, and say why. We can chat about it after this. But usually there's this thought process of like, okay, we think to ourselves, well, once I get to this weight that I want to get to, I'm going to go allow myself to eat more foods. These foods that I'm like cutting out or whatever, these foods that aren't allowed right now. And so in the meantime, what's happening? We're obsessively plugging in our calories into whatever tracking app or like MyFitnessPal. And then what you're thinking is like, when I get to this point where, I'm where I want to be, I'm going to go into maintenance mode. And I hear this as like a term used all the time. But here's my question to you guys, or something for you guys to think about. If diets really worked, would you have to maintain this low calorie, restrictive mode, clean type of eating plan for the rest of your life? Is that something you really want to do? So think about, with diets, how many times you go off and on diets. It's a cycle. And man, do I remember what it feels like to be stuck in that cycle. So if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, I've fallen off the wagon like January, I'm already planning my next diet. How many Januaries has this happened for you? Because usually it starts out almost innocently enough with diets. It's kind of innocent. And then you kind of stay stuck. I've shared my story in this group many times before. I've followed clean eating plans. I've written them for clients back when I was the pantry doctor. But you guys, it's just calorie restriction and tracking. 1,200 calories a day is definitely something that I told myself for months and years of my life that was enough. That was all I got. And it's so sad to look back on that now and think about it. So many of the behaviors that I started came from this like innocent diet that I just started. Very quickly it spiraled. Like I might have just started a diet innocently enough, wanted to drop a couple of pounds, and next thing you know, I'm in like disordered thinking, disordered eating brain. I'm obsessively thinking about food. Food thoughts controlled my mind. Maybe I even got excited, like writing down everything that I was planning to eat that day. At the end of the day, my hunger levels were so high, and then I would think, well, I don't have any calories left, or I don't have any points left, whatever diet it is that I'm on. How many of you guys can relate to this? Just let me know. Say me in the comments. Leave me a hands up emoji. Guys, my life was a diet. I ended up in school because I was obsessed with nutrition, right? So I had no life outside of that. And that's what makes me sad, thinking back to all those years. That's why I get so upset when I see healthcare professionals, and I'm seeing it more and more, so I'm going to get a little louder this time of year. Say that 1,200 or 1,600 calories is sufficient. You guys, that's totally BS. And if you agree with me, give me that poop emoji right now below if you're watching this and you believe that to be true. If you question it, definitely ask me any questions because we can chat about that. Let's say, here's one thing that I get. Here's an objection that I get. Okay, let's just say that you're 85, you're in the nursing home, you're in a wheelchair. Maybe 1,600 calories is enough, maybe. But for you, you're a woman, you're in your active years. Probably, most people in this group are. Proper nourishment, feeding your body is something like 2,500 calories a day. There are numerous studies to back this up. So I know that that's probably shocking some of you guys right now, if I just said that and you're like, whoa, if you're used to the 1,200, 1,600 calorie thing. But if you have more of a sedentary job where you're sitting all day, you can look at somewhere between probably 2,000 and 2,500 for most people. But if you're extremely active, moving all day, you might need more than 2,500, way more. So Babs has a comment, I used to get really obsessed about the calories, then miserable and feel like a failure. I hear you. And I think diets set us up to feel that way. And that's why, thank God, I got off of that train and discovered food freedom and intuitive eating. Because thinking about calories, I'll give you some more facts. That the food labels, you've seen them on the back of the, in Babs, I don't know what they look like in over there in England, in the UK, but the food labels here, they'll say, in the US, 2,000 calories per day on the back, and you'll look at that and you'll think, okay, well that's what I need. That's what the average American needs, and no more than that. The threshold for that was based off of intakes that were actually self-recorded. And what happens is the FDA, so they self-recorded, like thousands of people self-recorded their intake, and they were actually, the average was like 2,300 calories per day, but the FDA says, okay, 2,000 is like a round, clean number, so we're just going to cut it off there. And I can't make that up. I can't just sit here and make that up. That is the truth. So honestly, if you're sitting there and you're watching this, and maybe you're watching the replay later, and you're still counting calories, I say all of this talk of calories today, not to make you start counting them, not at all. Actually, the opposite of that. But at the end of the day, I'm so tired of the faulty research and the false information and the false advertising that I start to see more and more and more of, especially this time of year. And this false information, it's making us feel underfueled and undernourished because we feel like we can't have more calories than like 1,200 or 1,600. So what's the result of that? We're just walking around being underfueled, not having enough energy for the things that matter, for our families, for our lives, all of this, because our head's in the tracking app. And why are we so hungry? So what I want, and my Christmas wish for you guys, is that you will be present through the holidays and going into next year and enjoy your life instead of constantly like micromanaging your body and your food intake. I want you guys to focus on whatever it is that brings you joy, being a good mom, being a good mother, a good sister, wife, friend, daughter, whatever that is. If it's really important to you, one thing might be your career. Your career might be important to you, a side passion, maybe even a hobby that you love. Those are things that bring you joy. But honestly, I guess I want you to reflect today if like you're tracking your food in an app, is that really bringing you joy? Because I know that it never did for me. And I guess one last point that I want to make today on the coffee chat is in regards to some research. There was some research that came out that said malnourishment leads to longer lifespans, and that has been debunked. And that's something else that I get brought up some when I bring this up. But we all know now that being properly nourished not only leads to happier, longer lives, but if you're listening to this today and maybe you're still in that diet mindset, you're still tracking and you're scared to properly nourish your body, maybe you're scared to stop the tracking apps. I know we had a new member say that she had stopped the tracking app, she had deleted it, and I was so excited to hear her say that. I just want you to sit and reflect if you're scared to do any of that and think, well, here's a question for you. I love kind of just ending things with the question for you to reflect on. Is it possible that my low calorie amount that I'm trying to stick to, whatever that may be, is that why I'm so hyper vigilant about my health and my body, and that I have to be so insanely specific about the calories that I need in order to maintain my weight? Is it time to maybe consider calling it a truce, waving the white flag? I need one right now. The sun's starting to come in. I don't usually come on here at 3 o'clock, but I'm rooting for you, friends. I want you to find peace with food, peace with your body. I hope that these coffee chats are helpful to you guys and supportive. And this one, you know, if you're on your food peace journey and you have dropped tracking in scales and things like that, maybe this isn't something that you watch today. But if you're watching this and you are stuck in tracking mode and scarcity, then what I want for you today is just to know that you are supported and you're in a safe space. I know that it's tough, but you don't have to start a diet come January, even if you're feeling like you've fallen off the wagon right now during the holidays. You can just take care of yourself today and every day moving forward. And with that, I'm going to just end with inviting you into the Food Confidence Club. If you're not a member, what I've been doing is daily challenges for you guys inside the app, and we kind of have a theme weekly. So the past couple of weeks we've been doing this holiday challenge, and the past couple of weeks we focused on letting go of tracking. We focused on kind of a different cleanse of sorts, cleansing our minds from things we see on the media and social media. We call it media literacy. And this week we're focusing on emotional literacy. So we're working on our emotions and how we tie emotions to physical sensations in our body, because we're going to tie this all out to hunger. It's all going to kind of make sense as we flow into the new year. But we're getting our minds right before January 3rd. I just want to let you know that January 3rd, we have a new type of challenge, a 30-day challenge that's focused on health habits, laying daily habits and stacking them so that they're more sustainable. So every day you'll get a challenge, kind of just like we've been doing. It's called Habits Before Hustle, though. It's rooted in self-care, not control. So it's a different kind of challenge. I've seen all these challenges out there already flying through my feeds about fitness and get back on track, let's get tighter, all of drop the belly, whatever it is. This is a different kind of challenge. This is just laying the foundation for solid, healthy habits. And we root it in self-care and compassion with this group. And it's not about control. So if you're interested in that, put me below. I'll make sure that you get the information. on that. We start January 3rd with that. And couple of announcements. I am coming on Friday. Babs, I know you came on and I had to cancel, and so we're doing it this Friday for the cooking demo. I'm just going to start doing some live cooking demos in this group. And this week I'm making what I call is like a harvest grain bowl, where I just kind of throw a bunch of stuff in a bowl. It's pretty simple, it's easy, it's very nutrient dense. And I made one last night, and I had all the components to kind of throw together, and I made my lunch in 5 minutes today. So I'm going to show you guys how you can do that. And they're very customizable. So like if you don't like something, you can sub out something else. We'll chat through all of that, and I'll make my grain bowl with you on Friday. Hope you can make it. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. If you want to join the Food Confidence Club, I'll leave a link below, or you can always find it in the banner in our group. If you click that, it'll take you straight to the link to join us. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye, guys.